Welcome to the Ramayana, Stories of Dharma and Devotion. I'm Sandeep, your storyteller, guiding you through the timeless epic of Valmiki's Ramayana. Drawing from Valmiki's original text and weaving in stories from diverse Indian traditions, our narration aims to bring you an experience that is both immersive and profoundly rooted in this eternal tale. In the previous episodes, we accompanied Hanuman on his courageous mission, crossing the ocean and infiltrating the heavily fortified kingdom of Lanka in search of Sita. Though he encountered grand palaces and a multitude of Rakshasas, each encounter only intensified his frustration, for Sita remained elusive in that vast and perilous realm. Now we arrive at a watershed moment. Deep within the Ashoka Garden, Hanuman at last beholds Sita in the flesh. What unfolds next reveals the challenges that define her life in captivity, and how, amid desolation, her unbreakable spirit still shines. Join me as we explore the poignant reality of Sita's days under Raavan's watchful eye, and witness how devotion and resilience become the guiding lights for both the captive princess and the devoted messenger who has found her at last.
In the soft light of early dawn, as the Ashoka Garden lay resplendent with blooming flowers, Hanuman, the son of Vayu, witnessed a scene that stirred both awe and deep sorrow in his heart. With a little of the night still lingering, Hanuman heard the faint, sacred sounds of Vedic chants emanating from demons, their voices steeped in the ancient wisdom of the 6 Vedas and the rituals of excellent sacrifices. Soon after, the harmonious strains of auspicious musical instruments filled the air, and Raavan, the mighty king of demons, stirred from his slumber. Adorned with slippery garlands of flowers and radiant ornaments, Raavan entered the garden, his formidable presence accentuated by his powerful arms and the glimmer of countless lamps that surrounded him. As Raavan strode through the Ashoka Garden, he was followed by a retinue of his women, each a study in contrasting beauty and debauchery. Their necklaces and armlets, though displaced and their hair disheveled from the night's revelries, shimmered faintly in the cool morning glow, and their sleepy eyes and tired faces betrayed the lingering traces of intoxication. Raavan himself, with his wide, red, slanted eyes and a majestic gait, playfully adjusted his upper garment, which shone like churned nectar, yet became entangled in his armlet. Hidden behind a dense veil of leaves, Hanuman observed every detail with a heavy heart. The clamor of anklets and waistbands, the murmurs of disordered voices, all served as a harsh reminder of the decadent display that surrounded him. Amid this tumult, Hanuman's heart pounded with a mix of grief and determination. He knew that beyond all these ostentatious displays, and amidst the throng of grotesque forms, there lay the one true beacon of hope, Sita, the noble daughter of Janak, whose suffering was etched in every line of her weary face. The very sight of Raavan advancing toward the region where Sita was held stirred Hanuman into a state of deep, almost unbearable anguish. He felt as though the weight of all the world's grief rested upon him, for he knew that if Sita were lost or her suffering continued, it would shatter the very foundation of Ram's universe. Amid this profound sorrow, Hanuman's mind also turned to another vital task. As he silently observed the rich details of the Ashoka Garden, he resolved to commit every detail of Lanka's physical structure to memory. He understood that should a war break out, this intricate knowledge of fortifications, hidden passages, and opulent retreats would prove indispensable in strategizing a victorious assault. With a heavy heart and unwavering resolve, Hanuman vowed to search every nook and cranny of this vast domain. He steeled himself for the challenges ahead, determined that no obstacle, no matter how opulent or depraved, could divert him from his sacred duty. At that time, the gentle princess, flawless in her noble form, trembled like a plantain tree swaying in a storm when she saw Raavan, the mighty king of demons, resplendent in his youth and adorned with magnificent ornaments. Wide-eyed and distraught, Sita, whose beauty once shone with the radiance of a full moon, sat down weeping on the bare earth. Her delicate hands clutched at her chest as sorrow weighed her down, and she seemed to shiver like a branch torn from its tree. Raavan, accompanied by a host of ogresses with grotesque features and fierce expressions, looked on as if Sita were a lone ship battling tumultuous waves in a stormy sea. Hanuman, hidden among the leaves, watched in anguish as the captive princess appeared both radiant and forlorn, like a lotus partly veiled in mud, her inner light dimmed by grief. Though once destined to be the beloved consort of Ram, Sita now seemed like a great power writhing under a curse, as if the very essence of her being had been tarnished by false blame and calamitous fate. Her once pristine character now lay battered like a ruined river, her hopes shattered like an altar desecrated by relentless sorrow. Sita sat in a state of pitiable austerity, her only wealth being the strength of her spirit and the memory of Ram's love. Even as Raavan attempted to allure her and threaten her with death, Sita's eyes, gazing in every direction with a steadfast, sorrowful vow, spoke of an unyielding commitment to Ram. In that moment, amid the twisted forms of the ogresses and the haunting echoes of grief, Hanuman's heart filled with both profound sorrow and fierce determination. He knew that despite the darkness that had befallen her, Sita's soul remained pure, a beacon of hope destined to guide Ram to victory. Amid the fragrance of blooming flowers and the soft murmurs of early dawn, Raavan spoke in a deep, commanding tone meant to allure Sita. His words, rich with promises of wealth and sovereignty, fell like a cascade of tempting gold. O Sita, you possess limbs as strong and graceful as the trunk of an elephant. See how my form, resplendent in ornaments, covers you, let your fear vanish. You are endowed with beauty and bodily excellence, pleasing to all. I desire you, O lovable one. Honor me, he declared, his voice both seductive and imperious. He continued, offering riches beyond imagining garlands, fine sandals, exquisite cloths, and the finest ornaments that adorned his court. Let not your heart be troubled by the hardships you face. Here, in my realm, no one can change their form or hide behind falsehood. Embrace the wealth and luxury I bestow upon you, for you are a gem among women. His words promised that all the splendors of Kuber's wealth and even the treasures of the three worlds were at her feet. He boasted of his unmatched power, asserting that none, not even Ram, could rival his might in wealth, brilliance, and strength. Yet even as Raavan's enticing voice filled the garden with promises of lavish adornments and sovereignty, the sorrow in Sita's eyes told a different story. There she sat, her face like a full moon dimmed by grief, as if a great ship had begun to sink beneath turbulent waves. Sita, with her once pure form now marred by hardship, looked about in despair, her delicate features hidden beneath a soiled cloth, her beauty subdued like a lotus veiled in mud. In a trembling, sorrowful tone, Sita lifted her tear-streaked eyes to Raavan and spoke slowly, every word heavy with grief and steadfast devotion. Turn your mind away from me, she implored, and let your thoughts rest with your own wife. I was born into a noble family, and I am bound to Ram alone. I cannot be tempted or disgraced by false promises, for my honor lies only with my husband. Her voice, soft yet resolute, carried the weight of her suffering as she continued, I am the wife of Ram, the one who has given me life and purpose. I will not accept your riches, your wealth, or any trappings that attempt to sway me from my sacred duty. How can I, who has been graced by Ram's pure light like the sunshine, ever be made a consort of another? Let righteousness guide you. Return me to Ram, for if you persist in this folly, your actions will only invite destruction upon you, as the mighty arrows of Ram and Lakshman will soon fall upon you like the thunder of Indra's bolt. With a calm yet sorrowful tone, Sita then countered Raavan's words by urging him to seek forgiveness from Ram. O Raavan, your misdeed is grave and weighs heavily upon your soul, but no sin is beyond redemption if one turns humble before the divine. Instead of pursuing me further, let your heart be filled with repentance. Approach Ram, ask for his forgiveness, and form an alliance with him. Only then may you hope to atone for your transgressions and restore balance to this world. Her words, gentle yet unyielding, echoed the truth that only through submission to righteousness could even a mighty king such as Raavan find the path to salvation. Amid the garden's soft glow, Raavan turned his attention once more to Sita. His voice echoed across the blooming Ashoka Garden as he spoke to her in words that masked his lust and threat with a veneer of courteous allure. O Sita, you are adorned with natural beauty, yet your sorrow dims the light within you. Accept my love, for in my realm there is no fear or change, only wealth, gems, and the promise of sovereignty over all my consorts. I give you 2 months. In that time, let your heart soften and come to me. Should you refuse, know that you will be taken by force, and your fate shall be sealed in my kitchens for my morning feast. His tone, though laced with seductive promises, carried the weight of an unyielding command. As Sita listened, her voice, pained and slow, trembled with a mixture of defiance and grief. Turn your mind away from me, she implored, and focus on your own wife. I was born in a noble lineage and belong to Ram alone. I cannot be tempted by your wealth or corrupted by your allure. Let your anger and desire be channeled into seeking forgiveness from Ram and form an alliance with him instead of forcing your will upon me. But Raavan replied with words that were both harsh and perversely charming. O Sita, your defiance only stokes the fire of my desire. If gentle words can win hearts, then heed mine, obey me, and let your fear vanish. Your beauty, though marred by your current state, is no match for the glory I offer. Accept me, and let my riches and my might be your salvation. Refuse, and the consequences will be dire beyond what you can imagine, for even the gods will have cause to condemn you. His voice, now rising in anger and passion, brooked no further argument. Then, with a swift motion, Raavan commanded his ogresses in a harsh chorus. O ogres, with all your wretched forms, bring Sita swiftly under my control. Use all your dreadful power to subdue her, for she shall be mine in 2 months' time. Then, from amid the jeering ranks of ogresses, a disdainful voice rose. One crude ogress stepped forward and spoke harshly to Raavan, saying, O king, why do you waste your strength on this frail, pitiful creature? Look upon her miserable form, her sorrow, her weakness. She is no match for you. You deserve a wife who reflects your grandeur, not this wretched being who is unworthy of your power. Let your strength be reserved for those who share in your glory, for this Sita is not even worth your time. Her words, dripping with scorn, echoed in the garden, a bitter counter to Sita's own plea, and underscored the prevailing belief among Raavan's retinue that Sita was unworthy of his majestic presence. Raavan, his eyes burning with a fierce, unyielding light, sneered at the ogre's words before turning back to Sita. His voice dripped with a twisted mixture of command and mockery as he declared, Take heed, Sita, for I have given you your deadline. Fail to yield to my desires, and your fate will be sealed. With that, the mighty king, resplendent in his regalia, like a dark cloud heavy with the promise of a storm, departed the Ashoka Garden with his consorts, leaving behind an atmosphere thick with dread and sorrow, while the echo of his threats mingled with the weeping of a captive princess. After Raavan departed and retreated to his own abode, the ogre women, with their grotesque and fearsome visages, rushed towards Sita. Their voices, harsh and insistent, filled the air with a bitter cacophony. One cried out, O Sita, you are not honoring your destiny as the wife of Raavan, born of the noble family of Polastya, the best among men, the great soul with 10 heads. You must accept your fate. Then an ogre woman named Ekjata, her red eyes blazing with anger, spoke among the 6 Prajaptis. The 4th, born from the thought of Lord Brahma and known as Polastya, by the name of Visravas, shines with divine radiance. Raavan, who makes enemies weep, is Visravas' son. You are destined to be his wife. Why do you not agree with these words? Soon another, Harijta with cat-like eyes, added, by whom 33 devas and even the king of gods have been vanquished, you are made worthy to become the wife of that mighty lord of ogres. Then Pragsa, filled with vehement anger, roared, why do you not take wifehood with Raavan, who is proud, valiant, and never retreats in battle? The mighty Raavan can cast aside his dearest consort among 1,000, and you, by all rights, shall be his. Vikta joined in, declaring, for whom even Devas, Nagas, Gandharvas, and Danavs have been subdued, Raavan stands as the lord of ogres. Why do you not embrace wifehood with him, a great soul unmatched in might? Finally, an ogre woman named Durmukhi, with eyes that seemed to carry the sorrow of the world, spoke in a trembling tone, fearing whom the sun cannot scorch and the wind cannot disperse, why do you not yield and accept him? O sit, with your gentle smile, heed these words and let your heart be swayed. Thus, with a medley of rough, persuasive, and scornful voices, the ogre women tried to force Sita into submission. Their words, though meant to assert power and to coerce, only deepened the sorrow in Sita's eyes, a sorrow that spoke of unwavering devotion to Ram and an inner strength that no amount of wealth or threat could diminish. In a trembling voice, filled with sorrow and defiance, Sita spoke, I am bound only to Ram, the one who has given me life and honor. No human woman can forsake her duty and love for her husband to embrace an ogre's false promises. Like the highly fortunate Sachi who waits upon Indra, like Arundhati on Vashisht, like Rohini on the moon god, like Lopamudra on Agastya, like Sukanya on Chavan, like Savitri on Satyavant, like Shrimti on Kapil, like Madhyanti on Saudas, like Kesini on Sagar, like Damayanti the daughter of Bhim, devoted to husband Nal. In the same way I am devoted to my husband Ram, the best in Ikshvaku dynasty. Her words, soft yet resolute, echoed like a lament through the silent garden. But the ogre women, their faces twisted in cruelty and contempt, surged forward with venomous scorn and jeered harshly. Why do you not agree to remain in Lanka, where the finest beds and luxuries abound? You, a mere human, dare to cling to the memory of Ram, banished and miserable? Withdraw your mind from him, or you will cease to exist. Their voices were a cacophony of insults and threats, each one promising dire consequence of being killed, of having her heart plucked out, of being devoured, if she did not yield to their demands and accept Raavan as her husband. One ogre woman, her tone particularly bitter and filled with malice, spat out, you must become the wife of Raavan, lord of all ogres, whose power and splendor surpass that of any mortal. Your beauty, though once radiant, now pales in comparison to the glory we offer. Accept your fate, or we shall leave nothing of you but your broken heart. Others joined in, their voices rising in a tide of vicious words, each more threatening than the last, as they detailed in their crude manner the fate that awaited Sita should she continue her defiance. Sita, though her heart ached with grief and fear, remained firm in her conviction. With eyes like soft lotus petals brimming with tears, she replied in a voice barely above a whisper, I am the wife of Ram, and my loyalty is bound to him alone. No wealth, no glimmer of ornamentation, nor the empty promises of a demon can ever be compared to the love and honor that I share with him. I cannot, and will not, be swayed from the path of righteousness. Her words, laden with the deep sorrow of loss and the quiet strength of devotion, feel heavy upon the cruel assembly. Amid the cacophony of threats and bitter words, Sita's voice rang out with quiet authority and deep sorrow. You do not know the true power of Ram, she said, her tone both gentle and unyielding. Recall how he vanquished Tatka and Subahu, how he rendered Marich helpless, and how he fought valiantly against fierce foes like Hare. These great battles are a testament to his divine might and valor. If you persist in your blind faith in Raavan, clinging to cruelty and wickedness, destiny will show you no mercy. Instead, turn back and repent, for only through remorse and righteousness may you hope to find redemption. Let your hearts be opened to the truth, for it is only by embracing the path of virtue that you may avoid the doom that awaits those who oppose the will of Ram. Her words, heavy with grief and resolute conviction, hung in the air like a solemn promise, a call to abandon the dark path and seek the light of truth before it is too late. As the ogre women circled around her, their twisted expressions contorting in anger and hunger, Sita's plaintive cries and tearful defiance resonated through the Ashoka Garden. For a long, aching moment, the garden seemed to hold its breath, caught between the bitter threats of the ogres and the pure, unyielding spirit of a princess who longed only for her beloved Ram. In a voice choked with sorrow and trembling with despair, Sita cried out, "O Ram! O Lakshman! O Kausalya! O Sumitra!" Her plaintive wail pierced the still air as the cruel ogre women hurled their harsh words at her. A human woman is not meant to be the wife of a demon. "Eat me if you will, but I shall never yield to you," she cried, her voice barely above a whisper, heavy with grief and defiance. Overwhelmed by the terror and humiliation of her captivity, Sita felt as if she were a lost fawn in a dark forest, trembling like a plantain tree buffeted by fierce winds. Clutching a wide, flowering branch of the Ashok tree, she wept bitterly, her tears streaming down like rain upon barren earth. In that heart-rending moment, she lamented, "Without my beloved Ram, I am as a ship in a storm, destined to perish. My life, my honor, and my very soul are shattered by this cruel fate." And yet, amid her anguish, Sita mustered a plea for compassion, urging, "O Ram and Lakshman, be kind to these ogre women. They are blinded by Raavan's power and misled by his might, not truly wicked at heart. Though they threaten me with death and depravity, they too are ensnared in the dark influence of his tyranny. I ask you, extend your mercy even to them, for in their blindness lies a chance for redemption. Only then can justice and true dharma prevail." With a broken heart and a soul heavy with sorrow, Sita proclaimed her grim resolve. She lamented that without Ram, her very existence was but a curse, a life too burdensome to endure. "Without my dear Ram, what worth is wealth or ornament? I am but a wretched soul, destined to perish like a ship caught in a tempest," she cried, her voice trembling with both despair and fierce determination. She declared that if fate should keep her from reuniting with her beloved, she would willingly surrender her life, even if it were to be torn asunder by fire or consumed by the very ogres that held her captive. Sita foretold a dire destiny for Lanka, warning that if her separation from Ram endured, this mighty city would soon become a barren graveyard, its splendor reduced to ashes by Ram's righteous arrows. Thus, with each tear and every anguished sigh, her words echoed through the garden, a solemn vow that she would not live in a world devoid of Ram's light, and that the day of reckoning was near, both for her and for the doomed land of Lanka. Amid the ogre's vicious threats and harsh words, Trijta, a kind-hearted ogress who had long cared for Sita, rose from the shadows with quiet authority. Her gentle yet firm voice cut through the clamor. "Enough. Your cruelty serves no purpose here. Sita is the beloved daughter of Janak, and your vicious words only betray your own darkness. Go back and leave her be." One by one, the ogres, chastened by her resolute scolding, retreated in fear and silence. Then, turning to Sita with a compassionate gaze, Trijta spoke softly. "Listen, dear Sita, for I have seen a dream, a vision that fills my heart with hope for you." She paused, her eyes glistening as she began to recount the wondrous dream. "In my dream, I saw Ram adorned in pure white garlands and garments, ascending the skies in a magnificent palanquin of ivory, drawn by 1,000 graceful swans, with Lakshman ever at his side. I witnessed you, Sita, dressed in radiant white, seated upon a white mountain surrounded by serene ocean. In that vision, you shone like the light of the full moon, and I knew that your destiny was intertwined with the power and compassion of Ram. The dream foretold that soon Ram's valor would vanquish Raavan, and peace would return to this land. Let these words fill your heart with hope, for they portend that the time of your rescue draws near. Trishta continued, her voice steady and filled with prophetic clarity. As they advanced, their divine arrows rained upon Lanka, and Raavan, along with his prideful sons and valiant warriors, was overthrown. I witnessed Raavan stripped of his grandeur, his body doused in oil, his red garments stained, his crown disheveled, and he was dragged down by a fierce woman, symbolizing the fall of his unrighteous power. Even his mighty son Indrajit and the towering giant Kumbhakarn met their doom, each set off in different directions, as if fated by destiny to be swept away by the forces of justice. Only Vibhishan, adorned in white with a pure heart and resounding with the sound of conch shells and drums, rose above the chaos, his ascent marking the triumph of righteousness. In my dream, Lanka itself, once impregnable and resplendent, was reduced to a land of ashes and sorrow, a graveyard where all the cruelty and arrogance of Raavan were forever vanquished by Ram's divine might. Let this vision remind us that the path of Dharma, though often shadowed by despair, is destined to be illuminated by the truth and power of Ram. Her gentle tone, filled with both sorrow and promise, wrapped around Sita like a warm embrace, dispelling some of the gloom that had long weighed upon her. Moved by Trishta's gentle words, Sita felt a deep solace begin to soothe her aching heart. As she listened, Trishta continued in a calm, reassuring tone, "I saw these dreams in the early hours of the morning, a time when it is believed that the gods themselves traverse the world, bestowing visions that foretell what is to come. Such dreams are a divine sign, an indication that good fortune is on the horizon." Sita's eyes, still heavy with sorrow, slowly began to fill with a glimmer of hope. In that moment, she felt as if a long-awaited promise of light had pierced through the darkness of her despair. The belief that the early morning dreams were gifts from the divine gave her a steadfast certainty that better days were near, and that her beloved Ram's rescue and the restoration of righteousness were soon to unfold. Tormented by grief and recalling the cruel decree of 2 months imposed by Raavan, Sita's heart grew heavy with despair. With each tear that fell from her pale eyes, she felt the weight of her isolation and the bitter promise of her impending death. In her anguish, she resolved that if she could not glimpse the beloved Ram, her life was not worth preserving. Gathering her long braid, her only remnant of graceful beauty, she lifted it, contemplating using it as a noose to bring a swift end to her torment and seek refuge with the god of death. At that moment, as if the gods themselves had come to her aid, a wondrous omen appeared. A gentle, radiant aura bathed her form, and the air was suddenly filled with the soft fragrance of jasmine and sandalwood. The nearby Ashok tree, which had stood silent and mournful, burst forth with delicate blossoms, showering the ground with petals, as if to affirm that hope was not yet lost. Overwhelmed by this divine sign, Sita's trembling heart found a spark of courage amid her sorrow. Though she had been left vulnerable and alone, the miraculous omen reminded her that Ram's love and the promise of Dharma still shone in the world. With tears still glistening on her cheeks, she lowered her braid, her resolve hardening as she vowed to endure, believing that the light of Ram would soon restore her honor and bring redemption to her shattered soul. Hidden among the dark leaves of his secret perch, Hanuman watched with a heavy heart as Sita struggled in her grief. Every tear that fell from her pale eyes, every tremor of her anguished form, struck him deeply. In that moment, he felt both helpless and yet fiercely determined, a paradox of weakness and power entwined in his very soul. Though burdened by the sorrow of witnessing such unbearable pain, his divine blessings stirred a resolve within him that no force could quell. As a son of Vayu and a favored messenger of the gods, he knew that he could not stand idly by while Sita endured such torment. With every fiber of his being, Hanuman vowed silently that he would not allow this suffering to continue. His heart, though weighed down by empathy, surged with the strength of 1,000 prayers. He resolved that soon, by the grace of Ram and the divine light of Dharma, he would help to rescue Sita from this desolation and restore the honor that was rightfully hers.
With Sita now in sight, a new chapter of hope begins, yet many questions remain. How will Hanuman reveal himself to her? What dangers still lurk within the demon-infested stronghold of Lanka? And can this pivotal discovery spark the final turning of fate that unites Ram with his beloved Sita? Join us for the next episode of the Ramayana, Stories of Dharma and Devotion, where steadfast devotion meets destiny, and even a single glimmer of hope can defy the gathering storm. Share this tale with those dear to you, letting the timeless lessons of compassion, courage, and unwavering faith illuminate your journey. Though the details of this ancient saga may differ across traditions, its heart remains a beacon of inspiration for all who stand at the crossroads of adversity. Until we meet again, may the light of Dharma guide your steps and fill your heart with serenity.